Hello all, welcome to Enlite's Toppers Paper Analysis. So today I am discussing the paper of Archit Dongre, who has scored rank number 3 in the UPSC Civil Service Examination 2024. We are discussing the paper 3 which is consisting of Indian economy, and for that paper he has scored the most toppest mark, that is 108 for his GS3 paper. I think that is one of the toppest marks that we could see in the 2024. So let's go deeper into the paper analysis. So let's start. So this is my first question, that is, examine the pivotal role played by regional rural banks in the socio-economic development of rural India. Okay. See, first of all, remember that for people who are writing exam this year or whatever, always there may be questions. There are chances that question can come from this banking sector, and it may be normally from NABARD or regional rural banks. Sometimes it can happen. So here the question is like, examine the role played by RRB in socio-economic development of rural India. See, this is a 10-mark question, and it didn't ask for 2 parts. It directly asked for single part. So here we can see. So normally there will be a doubt from the student. See, sir, how should we do this? Like, there's only 1 part, then how can we go with 2 parts? Normally a 10-mark question needs 2 parts now. So I will discuss that. See, here he has just given an introduction. The RRB in India were formed after recommendations by the Narasimham committee. Yes, see, very simple one, but still it makes sense. And after that, he has written that idea behind them is to go from class banking to mass banking. See, such an introduction will be so interesting for any examiner, for any evaluator, because he will be like, it's so good, because class banking to mass banking, it gives a sense that the person has a command over the subject, or he has a command over that particular topic. And similarly about the committee recommendation. So it makes sense. So that always you should remember. Try to include the various committee names, whether it be in the GS2 paper or in the GS3 paper. Surely try to incorporate some names of committee, commissions, etc. I have discussed in the polity paper also, articles, case laws, etc. Similarly here, committees. Okay, and in the GS3 paper, one more thing I need to focus is about, you need to focus is about the need to write the economic terms in the GS3 paper. So we'll be seeing it later. So this is his introduction. Now moving with this one, we can see he just written like the pivotal role played. Sorry, before that, one more thing. See how he has included the diagrams here. That is the RRB, rural areas, connecting with ground level, loans, percent of GDP. This is all enough. You need not incorporate all facts into it. If it's there, it's good. But these like schematics will really help in GS3 paper, I'm sure. Okay. The beauty of GS3 paper lies in it. It's not like I'm asking you to write all the 20 questions in this format. Always use schematics for all 20 questions. No, it's not possible. But wherever it can be, it is doable, try to do that. Okay. So this also, the schematics, see people who are preparing for the next year or the coming years, always try to make your own schematics. Make a book, make a paper, and get some references from the topics paper and create your own schematics. That will help in the long term, for sure. Now coming with the answers core area, that is the pivotal role played. Here, if you can watch it closely, we have already uploaded these PDFs in our website, so you can refer it from there also. So here we can see pivotal role played, credit disbursement, women empowerment, SHG. But what all points you can see, everything is so natural points. It is not something like extracted from the EPW or any such magazines. It's like very common points. Credit disbursement becomes easy. And he even may not know about what are the present ratios, what percentage of loan is actually disbursed to the farmer, entrepreneur or villager, etc. Here, but here, like, he just pointed out it's like to farmers, entrepreneurs, etc. So such simple points can be written and it will get marks. See here, women empowerment, he told. Then later on SSG, 80% of the SSGs are receiving funds from here. Okay. Now next page. Again, see, again he is using schematics. I told for G3 paper, schematics is very important. It may be of different types. Maybe it's a sunrise diagram or maybe a block diagram, maybe a cycle. Anything can be fine, but it should be made by yourself. Right now you are having very fortune of having ChatGPT or any other AI tools like Grok or etc. So you can make use of it, or else at least when you are getting a topic. See, this is a thing you should focus. When you are getting a topic, try to Google it and get a Google image from that. Okay, try to get a Google image of, say for example, about RRB. Just give RRB as a keyword and get the Google images. Then at some point of time you may get a schematic from there, or be specific, RRB schematics, RRB structure schematics. Then at times you will get some 1 or 2 images of schematics. Then just copy that and take it as yourself. Okay. Now it's like positive feedback cycle promoter. Then preventing elevation, poverty elevation. I'm sorry for that. Poverty elevation by enhancing possibility of jobs, employment, etc. and reducing inequality. See, right now what you are actually seeing is that he has written all the points in a single side, right? Because this question, first of all, it doesn't have a second side. So he just just written the pivotal role plays. Okay, every points like 8 points almost he has written regarding the same stuff, and finally he has just concluded. Very single word conclusion. That is also enough. Hence, RRBs are critical to the financial infrastructures at the ground level. See, that's enough. Okay, at least you just make a sentence as conclusion. Okay. So your takeaway from the first question was use schematics to the maximum. Try to use the various committee or commission names. It matters because the person who is evaluating the paper should feel that there's something extra in your paper. Now coming with the second question, that's about what is fiscal consolidation, why it is important for economic stability, what are the major factors that cause governments to experience fiscal slippages. See, for my first advice for you is like, see, for such questions it doesn't need any introduction. Why? Because the question itself is like asking you something, what is fiscal consolidation? Then surely you can write what essentially means fiscal consolidation in your own terms. And if you can see here, he has written it's like the current year fiscal deficit is 5.1% of GDP. Give some facts because this is economy paper. Now, why important for economic stability? That's the second part of the question. Why it is important for the economic stability? See, he has written points: availability of services, cost of borrowing will decrease, then the income increase in the revenue expenditure. It can happen if fiscal consolidation is properly met. It can lead to depreciation of currency. That is why that's what we are concerned about the fiscal consolidation. I mean, what's the fiscal consolidation? Fiscal consolidation is meaning that you are actually trying to reduce the fiscal deficit. That is why reducing your revenue expenditure, okay, or increasing your revenue or capital receipts. So depreciation of currency can be a consequence of the fiscal if there's a lack of fiscal consolidation or if there's some fiscal slippages. So lack of capital expenditure and about NPAs as well as the loss of forex. He has written here like the loss of forex. Fine. See, this is really a paper analysis now. So I just want you to get some insight from this paper. What's the insight? The insight is that if you see all these points, what you could see is like, see, depreciation of currency, lack of capital expenditure, then you can increase the NPAs. See, all these are economic types. These economic terms are very necessary in the economy paper. That's the takeaway from this question. Okay, so takeaway from this question is like, you need to write some points, like you could use some numbers, numericals. Similarly, you should use and you should always try to incorporate economic terms, not layman terms into this one. Okay, you could use layman terms, that's fine, but still try to have more economic words in the GS3 paper, because that's the demand of that particular one. Now coming to the third part, factors causing fiscal slippages. Why fiscal slippages are happening? Okay. So here it's like heavy revenue expenditure is happening. Yeah, salaries, pensions, etc. will basically increase. Heavy cost of borrowing. Just he is always trying to do some substantiation to his points. That is a point that can be noted. Substantiation to your answer. Here he has written as World Bank. Here 17%. See 2.4%. This is the next takeaway for you. Never write a point simply without any explanation or without any substantiation. Okay, so remember, that is also your takeaway. Now I am not going too much on that, rather I am just showing you the way forward. Here also he tried to manage a way forward here. You see, a way forward, that is rationalizing the subsidy to bring fiscal prudence. Example DBT, increasing the tax base, FRB by encasing committee recommendations. What I have told in the first question, that is trying to incorporate more names to increase the visibility only. He know that this is one of the main point, but it needs to have more visibility. So he just gave it like this structure in this spider web, may not be spider web, at least in this type of schematics he has given that answer. So that is also a good step. Even in the other aspect, it can also reduce your time needed to spend over this question. Okay. Now moving with the last question, that's about India's increasing GDP growth rate and its widening inequality gap. In this slide, discuss the reasons behind the disparity and analyze the feasibility of various methods that could be employed to address it. See, at the first instance, this question feels like such a large question. How, sir, this can be answered in just 9 minutes or 9.5 minutes? Okay, this may be coming to your mind, yeah. But see, when you get a question, try to make it more simple. Even though the question may appear complex, try to make the answer or the heading so simple. Here, like in this question, it was actually asking about there's a difference between the GDP. The GDP is actually growing very high, but the inequality is also growing very high, because that one is positive and the other is negative, right? So that is the contradiction. You first of all point out that contradiction in your introduction itself. Tell the GDP growth rate as well as the inequality rate. Okay, and for that you can use some either it's a Gini coefficient or maybe some Robin Hood index, whatever it be, you can quote them. And similarly for the GDP growth rate also you can quote them. Now they are asking for why that is contradictory. See guys, I need your close attention here, because at some point of time you may think about answering this question like, why that contradictory picture? And you always think that, sir, my point should be such that it should be addressing both GDP growth rate highness as well as the inequality issue. You won't be able to answer such, give such answers during the examination time, because you only have 9 minutes for the 15-mark question. So you need to crack the question more easily. See what that he has done here is like, he just reduced the difficulty level of that particular question. Complexity of the question here has reduced. See. Okay. Contradictory picture. He has written the heading, contradictory picture. Highest number of millionaires and billionaires, yet 11% population are still multidimensional poor. 10% population and 70% of wealth. Gender imbalance. Land rights, only 17% of the women are having the land rights. They only have the property rights. Okay. But whether these points are always addressing both sides like growth rate as well as inequality? No. It's just pointing out the picture, the contradictory picture in simple terms. Okay. So that's what it takes. Try to answer it more simply. Don't think that the question is asking such like the growth rate and inequality gap contradiction. My point always should answer this one. No, it's not possible for you. So give it so simple so that the examiner gets an idea. Okay, he is actually trying to give the answer to the particular contradiction. Now coming to the next part, he is actually showing the reasons for such inequality. Okay, because that's asked. Discuss the reasons behind the disparity. Yeah, the reasons. Like always, this is a very common structure that is normally used by students. That's a historical, structural reasons. Try to copy that one. Okay, try to copy that one. Even in polity, we can have that such artificial subheadings or artificial points. This is actually good. They are good indicators, because at the times when you are having no much time with you, so in such times like some artificial things can be handy. So historical reasons, structural reasons, lack of education. Then after writing the first 2 points, see, I am always trying to show that how you are going to perform in an examination hall. So the first point, second point, you have some artificial things and you just written that, because that is giving you indication. Okay, guy, write this. Then during that time, your brain actually tries to find new points. That's the nature of the third point, lack of education and skill. Because this is almost again plastic answer, but still it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense means by this time your brain will give you more and more points. So try to have some artificial or well structured, already made points with you. Then next about the lows, labor force participation, that is the LFPR, labor force participation rate, that is very low in India, and jobless growth. Then health problems, so that there is so much out of pocket expenditure from the Indians, so it is actually creating too much of inequality in the society. And finally, he just answered the last part. Here my question was, analyze the feasibility of various methods that could be employed to address it. See, analyze the feasibility of various methods that could be employed to address it. Are you noting this one? Because it's like analyzing the feasibility of various methods that could be employed to address it. Here, this itself can be a 15-mark question. Analyze the feasibility of various methods. That means you list down various methods, then analyze that. Analyze means whether it is possible, what all things can be the challenges, and take the next method, take its positive, and take the what are the challenges. But whether this is possible at this point of time, no, it's not possible, because you only have 9 minutes with you. So what he has written, see, this is a very good method. I always appreciate this type of methods, because the question, the examiner can do anything. I mean, he can ask anything, but it's up to you to answer it so cunningly so that the examiner feels like, yeah, he has answered that. Okay, see here, ways to improve, focusing on health. Example, mission Indradhanush. Skilling of workforce, access to credit, ensure financial inclusion. But if you can see closely, he hasn't checked the feasibility of various methods. He just gave some methods. That is also enough, because if you are going to analyze these methods very carefully, you won't get too much of time. And even the examiner, I don't think he is sparing too much of time to scrutinize whether you have went through all the angles, etc. It's like you should just create the belief that this is actually I am pointing to the answer. And one more thing, the last thing I need to point about, that is the, see, he is writing this about mission Indradhanush schemes. Okay, you need not study too much schemes, etc. because you yourself are right now having too much of schemes with you, because after the prelims exam, everyone has a total, after the prelims exam, not after the prelims preparation, everyone will be having too much of points with you regarding the schemes. Try to spray all these points out here, all these schemes out here. So it will actually help. It will actually create an image that you are having very good hands at these questions. Okay, now my last point to you. Previously also I told this is my last point, but surely this is right now my last point. that is regarding, okay, so what he has written, thus inequality is part of this art. See how beautifully he has articulated that. Very honestly speaking, this is very good. A reference of, a question of GS3 has been answered, has been concluded by a small point from the GS2. That's what the beauty lies in. He's actually referring to the DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy. This is a very good articulation skill because this gives the examiner a more happiness regarding the particular question. But it should be visible. That's the most important stuff. But I'm not sure whether this was so much visible, but if it is made visible, if you just box it, then it will be the most beautiful thing you can do for the particular question. Okay, so this is all part of my analysis of Archit's paper, and we will be following all the other papers also, all other topper paper analysis also in the coming sessions. So guys, see you. Thank you.